if there's less workers but demand hai, the wages of those laborers are going to go up. Especially Western countries that were looking at China to be their factory and to produce it because it's low cost goods, that is going to go away for them. When China entered the WTO, they became the factory of the world. It was the #1 manufacturing hub for all countries and pretty much everything.
Hello everyone, welcome to Cut the Noise by Grip, where we discuss about market concepts and explain you things that moves your investments. And today we have Abhishek Goyal, who is Chief Risk Officer at GFIO Fund. Welcome Abhishek to the podcast. And today we have very interesting topic to talk about. I'm personally very interested in knowing. Recently we were discussing how China's population is decreasing and the impacts it will have on Indian economy or my investments personally. So let's start with a very basic question. Why China's population is decreasing?
So thanks Ashish for having me, and that's a very interesting point. And in fact, I think on a macro level, probably one of the most important piece of news, which may not have been covered so deeply, but China lost or their population decreased by 2 million people in 2023, and this is the second consecutive year that their population decreased. It had decreased by 800,000 people a year before that also. And I know you may say in the grand scheme, what is that number? But just, if I can take a minute to explain the total fertility rate. So there's this concept of total fertility rate, which is that every person has to have, or every couple has to have 2.1 children so that the population of a country can remain stable. In a lot of the Western countries, that population, because of people either getting married much later or choosing not to have children, has started to go down and is fallen below that 2.1. In China, if you remember, they had instituted a one-child policy. And that was the big reason that this was instituted as early as 1979. And that is the big reason people were only having one child and the population growth rate started to go down. Then in 2016, they realized that the population is actually decreasing at a very fast rate, and they decided to invert the policy and said you can have up to 2 children. In 21, interestingly, they made it 3 children. But now culturally, I think what's happening is people are getting married later. The Chinese economy is going through some stress, so there's some wages are not going up that much. So now people are having less children in general. So this total fertility rate that I mentioned to you, Ashish, in China now is down to 1. The lowest any country in the world is South Korea at 0.76. And what we've seen in economics is that the minute it goes below 1.3 or 1.4, it is almost impossible to reverse. So now the way where China is in its demographics, its population will keep decreasing. And in fact, by the end, currently, let's say the population is 1.4 billion. By the end of this century, it will be down to 500 to 600 million people. That's it.
Good. If they continue with this,
if they continue, and if you ask me, and also empirically, it will be very difficult for them to now reverse this and start growing their population back.
So why does it matter? So there are countries with lesser population and they are surviving, they are doing good, right? Then how does it matter to China?
So it matters on 2 very big reasons, and the first reason is China has always been called the factory of the world, right? When China entered the WTO, they became the factory of the world. It was the #1 manufacturing hub for all countries and pretty much everything. Right. Now, because of this decline in population, they are running short of workers. So today, there are at least 30 to 35 million less workers in China than they need. If there's less workers, but demand hai, the wages of those laborers are going to go up. If the wages goes up, the cost of production is going to go up. So a lot of these, especially Western countries that were looking at China to be their factory and to produce it because it's low cost goods, that is going to go away for them. So one is that they are going to lose that. The second problem is as the population becomes old, the older people need a lot of they tend to fall sick more. So there is a very heavy healthcare cost associated with it. And there are less working people. So there's a lot of stress on the government to provide the healthcare costs for the aging population. So these are two very big factors that is going to impact China going forward from the way they have built their economy.
Got it. And of course, my next question is, how does that impact India? And I'm assuming that manufacturing hub can now get shifted to India if we are able to take care of the needs or the factories that people are demanding.
So absolutely, kind of hit the nail on the head and answered the question. So just to put again into perspective, India overall crossed China last year. We became the world's most populous country, but we are also the world's youngest country. 65% of our population is below 35 years of age. And we have what, which we've always described as the demographic dividend, because we have a young working population. And you are absolutely right. And in the, we've had with the current government, we've made a big stress towards Make in India. Right. And there's a big push towards manufacturing sector and the growth of the manufacturing sector. So manufacturing currently in our GDP is about 16 to 17% of our GDP. Going forward, the government's aim and the push through all the other things they have envisioned is to take this number to 24 to 25% in the next 6-7 years. But to get there, Ashish, like you said, what do you need? Workers. So India is going to be one of the bigger beneficiaries of this decline of population in China, because we have that young working age population, we have the people. Our total fertility rate is still at 2.1. So a lot of this will come, we should see, moving towards India, and you are starting to see it, right, with Apple moving here. Corning just announced a big factory in India. Tesla has announced a big factory in India. So that manufacturing sector should start to grow. And as manufacturing grows, you will understand we'll be able to employ a lot more people. Wages will grow, economy will grow, which will have that same effect that it had in China for years. Right. That will grow. There's one more interesting thing that should help. And this is, these Western banks like to do this. So they came out with something called the Demi-Ashton ratio. So when Demi Moore, who was an older lady, was married to Ashton Kutcher. And what they found is in countries where the working age population is increasing and people are getting wealthy, one of the places they want to do is start investing. Because suddenly you have a job, you have disposable income. So the other second effect of this should be that as the working population grows, they have more money, they will start investing more, right? Of course, they may start first, or investments is typically in the equity markets, but after that into other asset classes, like exactly fixed income, alternate assets, etc. And I think that is the second order benefit that we should start seeing. And you're also already seeing this in the SIP numbers, right? You've seen SIPs have been on an averaging 16,000-17,000 crores, and it's been a sticky number. So all of this is a function of our population, and that's a big benefit to the Indian economy of our demographics.
Interesting. And what do you think could be the markets or industries that our current viewers can go and figure out to invest in so that they can reap the benefits in long term?
I think this will be great for the economy as a whole. I think obviously manufacturing will be a very big beneficiary of this. You're starting to see PLI in whether it's in electronics, whether it's in auto, semiconductors. So I think manufacturing will be a very big beneficiary. I think overall tourism and domestic tourism and travel will be a big beneficiary of this. I think capital goods, as these things come up, suddenly you'll see roads are being made and towns are being developed. So whether it's real estate, etc., those will be a big beneficiary. I think this will honestly, in my opinion, be one of those where it's a rising tide lifts all boats.
Got it. And I'm just assuming, for example, many people from different countries come to India for medical tourism as well. And given the costs of medical will increase, or the cost of healthcare will increase in China, even the Chinese people will start coming to India.
You know, that is always an option. I think that may happen, and that is always, India has always been, like you said, a good medical tourism hub. So I'll give you one interesting statistic. In this OECD, which are the developed countries, there are 32 countries.
Okay.
Only one of them has a total fertility rate of over 2.1, which is Israel. So 31 of them are all below 2.1. Okay. So you pick, like I said, you look Japan, South Korea, you look at any European country, it's 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So I think, to your point, the medical tourism and if there's an influx of older age population wanting to move to India, where you get high quality healthcare at a good cost, we'll benefit from this from across the globe, not only China, is my point.
Got it. Cool. Thank you very much, Abhishek, for all the gyan you gave us today.
Thank you, Ashish.
And it was really helpful. I hope our viewers also liked the discussion on the China's population now and how it is going to impact our investment decisions. If you have any queries, please feel free to mention them in the comment section and our team will reach out to you. Do not forget to like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel, Grip Invest. Thank you.
Investments in debt securities are subject to risks. Read all the offer-related documents carefully.